The number one place that I start with pro athletes who say that they've lost their confidence and want to get it back is by asking them one simple question, which is, what is confidence? And it is absolutely shocking to me how many struggle to answer the simple question. And what happens most of the time is there'll be a little bit of a struggle and say, oh, you know what, it's believing in myself. Okay, perfect. What's holding you back from believing in yourself? Well, I mean, and then they struggle, right? If you want something and you don't see it crystal clear and you don't know everything about it, right? And you don't go into the level of detail that a pro athlete should be going into confidence with, right? If you're a pro athlete, you should be an expert, a legit expert in confidence. I should be able to throw you on a TEDx stage, even with a half a bottle of wine in your system after eating 2 eggs for breakfast. And you should be able to put on a hell of a seminar on a TEDx stage on confidence, okay? Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you some tools that will help you, after a half a bottle of wine, get on that stage and do your TED Talk. All right, so how do we build confidence as a pro athlete? Here's how we do it. First of all, we gain clarity on what it is, which we just talked about. Second, what we want to do is, and this is going to sound so simple, but I'm telling you, it's not, is one word that comes often that's tied in with confidence. Usually I'll hear people say confidence, belief, and there's one more word that comes up a lot, and it's uber important, which is trust. Think about it. What's believing in yourself? It's just trusting yourself, right? They're all very similar. Confidence, belief, trust. They're words that dance together, right? So think about someone that you don't trust, right? Close your eyes and think for a moment. Well, it probably won't take that long. You can probably figure out who you don't trust before you even close your eyes, right? So think about that person. Why don't you trust them? The number one reason why you don't trust that person is most likely because they've either said or done things to hurt you, or they've said or done things, or they've said things that they haven't actually done, right? Like, hey, listen, I'll give you a call tomorrow. We'll make plans. We'll go from there. Sound good? Next day, never hear from them, right? Do you trust that person more or do you trust them less, right? So when you say you're going to do something, you sure as hell better do it. And that includes the little things. And this is where people make a huge mistake. They're like, well, how am I supposed to just build trust in myself? Well, one of the ways to do it is to set daily intentions, and you could also think about small, tiny actions you could do, because the brain does not, and the mind does not care how big or grandiose the task is. They care that you're a man or a woman of your word. That's what it cares about. It cares to know that you said you're going to do it and you did it, right? And so create consistent intentions, consistent actions that show your commitment, right? Think about what another C word in trust and confidence is: commitment, right? It's consistency of action, right? And it's also compassion, right? Compassion with the things you say to yourself. Because I'll tell you right now, the ears that are listening all the time to you are the ones that are inside your mind, because most of the conversations that you are likely having, if you are struggling to get your confidence back or get it in general, is that you are talking yourself out of having the confidence. You're serving yourself thoughts and conversations that just don't create confidence, right? And so you have to be compassionate. Even if your last 3 practices were horrible, even if you blew it in the big game, you don't need to beat yourself up about it, because guess what? The number one person that can kill your confidence is you. And you can do that with the conversations you're having with yourself and the lack of compassion you have for the fact that, hey, listen, you're an athlete. Hate to tell you, mistakes are going to happen. Things are not always going to go your way. And that's another video for another time, working on mistakes and how we manage them. But I will tell you this. There's certain things within your control. It's consistency of action. It's getting clarity on what confidence is. It's it's getting clear on what is a small choice that I can make when it comes to the conversations I'm having with myself, right? You start to realize there's a lot of C words when it comes to confidence, commitment, consistency, right? Compassion. We got choice. So let's talk about choice for a moment. So when we're thinking about an upcoming game, right? So we had a great practice all week. Things went really well. So now all of a sudden, hey, we got the big game, right? I love when people qualify a game as like a big game, right? But the last game was a small game, didn't matter. What kind of athlete does that? Anyways, so when you're an athlete, every single game is the same, right? And you might say, well, no, this one's more important because the results and outcome and the prestige and all that. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to argue differently. I don't have to agree with you. I disagree. Because my whole thing is, if it's you competing against yourself, what's the difference between the big game and the small game if you're competing against yourself? In both games, you're competing against yourself. So if we're going to say that, hey, it's all about the inner game, it's all about, you competing against yourself, well, you better be consistent with how you look at that. Big game, small game, important game, not so important game, it's all important, right? And as much as it's all important, it's actually not too. So anyways, it's always you competing against yourself. Now, let's get back to choice. When we talk about choice, we've got two choices we can make when it comes to confidence. Now, what oftentimes challenges our confidence is doubt, and our doubt is usually based on a result or outcome that we're not sure whether we will or will not experience, right? And so that's obviously in the future, right? So oftentimes we have this fear of the unknown, which, by the way, that fear of the unknown already creates a little tension and a little anxiety inside our body, which immediately starts to say, hey, doubt, come on in. Hey, stop by the house. Come on. Let's talk. Let's hang out. I want to hear everything you got to say, right? So when we already fear the unknown, we're already 2 steps behind, right? And so let's talk about how to manage that. Then we'll talk about choice, right? So when we talk about fear of the unknown, what we're really talking about is the certainty that we have that we are going to play at our best or that we will achieve some desired outcome, right? Now, we never know truly what the future holds. So our whole thing is how do we view uncertainty, right? Imagine if you know your whole entire life, you knew exactly what was going to happen each and every minute, each and every day, who you're going to talk to, what they were going to say, when you were going to die, right? You'd be bored out of your mind, right? So there's a such thing as too much certainty, right? But then sometimes there's too much uncertainty. What if all of a sudden you didn't know where your next paycheck's coming from? You don't know where you're going to live, where you're going to get your next meal. That's a lot of uncertainty, right? So we start to realize that there needs to be always this yin and yang, this balance, this movement in between, almost like a pendulum, right? We need to always be moving in between the two and realize and be self-aware of the fact that, hey, listen, I've got a little too much uncertainty going on. Maybe I need to figure out a way to bring in some certainty. Now, one of the ways to bring in certainty, right, don't forget, the benefit to bringing in certainty is it calms our nerves, right? Because if we look at a future event that we don't know how we're going to do, and we look at it through what I call the red lens, which is perceived threat, which is, oh my God, this is a threat. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be consequences if I don't do well. I might not get my contract signed. I might not, I might get benched. Whatever it is, right? But that's what happens when we look through the red lens, which is not knowing what the future holds and looking at things as a threat, when really what we want to do is look through the green lens. The green lens is the lens of challenge. It's saying, listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am damn excited to find out, right? So I don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited to find out. Sounds like a simple statement, but I can tell you right now, it is extremely powerful and is one you should consider adopting. Now, once we adopt this excitement for the unknown, this curiosity and excitement for this unknown future, right? We start to feel a little bit more confident, a little more certain because we feel excited, right? We feel excited for the future as opposed to stressed and anxious about it, which is just a change in frame, right? It's just a change in perspective. That's all it is. You got 2 lenses you can look through. You're looking through the red or the green. Simple choice. So when we talk about choice, we're talking about the perspective on how are we looking at the unknown future? And then also, what are the stories we're telling ourselves about it? And then you have faith-based stories and you have fear-based stories. The faith-based ones are obviously the ones we want. That means, hey, listen, I don't know what the future holds, but here's what I can tell you about it. I'm excited to experience it. I know I put in the work. I know that I've been really figuring out some cool things lately. I've really gotten really dialed with my rest and recovery. I've gotten a great post-mistake routine. And you know what? My personal life is actually really, really good right now. So life is on a great trajectory. All right, cool. Conversations based on faith. Faith meaning I don't know what the future holds, but I believe things will go my way. Versus fear, right? Which is, hey, listen, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm not quite so sure things are going to go the way I want, right? Which is obviously where doubt comes from. And so those conversations are usually the more automated ones, the ones that happen unbeknownst to you when you go asleep, or what I call asleep or unconscious, right? Unconscious not meaning you're passed out, but meaning like you're not aware of the fact that you're allowing your mind to drift off into a place that simply does not serve you. Which, when you do that, you're actually not choosing what you focus on. You're letting your mind drift off, and it has a negativity bias. It's going to go to the fear, right? You have to intentionally shift your focus, consciously create change and choice by focusing, being awake, being consciously aware of, hey, this is what I'm going to put in my mind, as opposed to the crap over here, which is the automation. And when I look through that lens of fear, right, that red lens, that lens of fear, I start to talk through the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Oh my God, I'm so afraid. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to let my team down. Okay, then don't. Well, what if this happens? Oh, what if it doesn't? Right? And you start to realize that so many of us stay so long and spend so much time in these conversations that are fear-based. No wonder why we lose our confidence. That's where doubt lives. You're going into the den of doubt. No wonder why you're struggling. You walk into the den of doubt, you're going to feel doubt. If you go into the chamber of confidence, which I've never used that term. It's kind of like chamber of commerce. I kind of like it. That one's going to stay. If you go through walk out from the den of doubt to the chamber of confidence, okay? Now all of a sudden, your vibe changes, your energy changes, your body language changes, the way that you're thinking changes, and that's what we define as confidence. So, if you love this video, you're an amazing person. If you don't, I doubt you. Anyways, if you have any questions or need me, you know where to find me. Best of luck. Have a great day.